Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel yet again. My name is Matt, and today we're going to take a little look on a subject that I've been seeing a bunch of videos on lately, and kind of wanted to give my thoughts on, mostly around the idea of, should you hide your self-harm scars? So let's take a look. So the first part to that, I would say, is just the short answer. Should you or should you not hide your self-harm scars? Well, the answer is, obviously, it depends. It really depends on a lot of different scenarios. It depends on where you are. It depends on how much they've healed, if they're new or old scars, where they're at on your body, and of course your family and friends' reaction, assuming that they already know about such things, how they would react to that as well. And this is obviously going on the assumption that up to now you've been hiding it, and going with that assumption is really what this video is going to be doing. So like I said, the short answer is it really depends on all those factors that I just said a second ago. So if we start with the first kind of category, let's say I'll use the first category of basically where I'm at, where I have scars, but they're over 2 years old at this point, and they're healed as much as they'll ever heal, but they're still fairly visible on certain parts of like my upper arm here. The one on my lower arm, you can see them in sunlight more so, like in light, like if it's really bright you can kind of see some of them, but they weren't deep enough to really show compared to the ones up here. I don't know if it's because it's a different kind of skin or if it's muscle, whatever it is, but basically these ones up here are the only ones that I have that are obviously visible and in a straight line. I'm not going to show it obviously, but in a straight line it's very obvious. The cat didn't scratch me 5 times, 6 times, whatever it is up there. So that's basically what I'm working with. So going on the assumption you're like me, they're very old, they've healed as much as they'll heal, and they're on a fairly visible place. Like if I'm shirtless or wearing a sleeveless shirt, you'll definitely see it. The whole reason I started going up the arm instead was to literally be able to wear short sleeves and it would hide it. So to that end, yes, that worked, but my parents still saw anyway the one time I was shirtless in the pool. And I think I talked about that altercation in the self-harm video I did before, a while back, so I will link that up here somewhere. But in terms of if you're at that kind of stage where they're older, they're there, they are what they are at this point basically, I would say you should show them. Like I said, it also assumes a lot of other things too. Too many things to sit here and name everything that scenario would assume. But assuming that people know, assuming that it's your friends and family know it is what it is, assuming that they're old and like I said they're healed as much as they'll heal, I think you should show them, and you shouldn't be really afraid of doing that. It's a part of many different mental illnesses. It's not just BPD. I know it seems like it might only be a BPD thing because it's listed as a diagnostic criteria, where in other disorders like major depressive disorder, bipolar disorder, PTSD, none of these other disorders that also are usually very commonly the cause of self-harm it's not a diagnostic criteria, so therefore people think, well, it has nothing to do with that. It must be this BPD, because look, it says right here, criteria number 8 or whatever number it is, self-injurious behavior. And I certainly think that there are probably some people who think that. However, that's not true. Like I stated in the previous self-harm video I did a while back, self-harm can happen to anyone. By that I mean anyone can self-harm. It's not something that only young people engage in. I'm turning 25 in less than 2 weeks? 3 weeks? I don't want to look at the calendar because I feel old as hell as it is. In the next couple of weeks, middle of August, I will be 25. And this started, well, I started originally self-harming at around 13 in 8th grade. So, give or take 12 or 13, however old I was, I don't remember. But long story short, I did it for a long time. I stopped for many years and then fell back into it about 3 or 4 years ago. And I've been clean for the last 2 years, so certainly happy for that. Definitely, I can't say it's never on my mind. It's never a struggle. I never get urges. Bullshit. I still get plenty of urges sometimes when things really piss me off. Not really out of anger, but more out of that fear of abandonment kind of thing. When my friend Jared hasn't texted me anymore for over a year now. One of my best friends. I trusted this guy with everything in my life, and I don't know what happened. He's in the Air Force. He's busy. I get it, but I guess he found better friends. I don't know what to tell you, but all that not knowing, I don't have an answer, which has obviously put a tremendous strain on me. Blaming myself and all of that I've been trying to work on in therapy the last several months. So I think it's starting to work, but got a long ways to go before I can forget him officially. But either way, not trying to get off topic too much, but basically, that's where I'm going with that. I think you should be able to show your scars. Like I said, it's not just about a BPD thing. Anything from anxiety disorders to depressive disorders to major mood disorders, PTSD to dissociative disorders. Basically, any mental disorder can, the symptoms can cause someone to go to self-harm. And if you're wondering why people self-harm in the first place, I covered that in the previous video. So that will again be up there or in the description down below for this video. I would say for the second kind of category of scenario that we're discussing for this, on whether or not you should show your self-harm scars, if they are new, fresh cuts, I'm going off the assumption of cutting because it's the most prevalent form of self-harm, but certainly by far not the only form of self-harm. As I mentioned in the other video, everything from burning oneself to hitting oneself, banging their head into other objects, pulling on skin or hair. There's so many other forms of self-harm. It's not just cutting. It's not just a stereotypical emo category of people who do that. Like I said, any person, young person, middle-aged person, older person, can engage in self-harm. It doesn't give a damn about your skin color, your sexual identity, being gay, straight. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. It doesn't care. Just like any other mental illness, it doesn't care. No more than PTSD only cares about whether or not you fought in a war. Anyone can engage in self-harm activities at any time. So again, an important distinction to make there. But again, if we go off the cuts are new, the injuries are new, and people know about them. I'm still going on the assumption that people know, right? You're not just going to out yourself and start showing off your stuff in front of people that don't know. That's going to be very, very jarring. I don't think many people would really be able to do that. Because the whole point is it's supposed to be secretive. It's not supposed to be something that you're necessarily on display about. Which leads to all the confusion of people saying it's for attention. Because, you're doing this whole crazy thing that nobody ever thinks like anyone would do. to themselves, how could you do that to yourself? Well, it's not that simple. But like I discussed previously, the idea of it being for attention is bullshit. It's impossible to say that nobody has ever done it for attention, but by and large, majority, almost unanimous majority, will say that it's not at all done for attention. And very much the thought of, if it was done for attention, why would people go through such hassles of makeup and extra clothing year round, hoodies and all summer long to cover their arms, and never wearing shorts or anything like that, wristbands on the arms, whatever it is. People would not go to such great lengths if it was for attention. They'd want you to see. They'd want to advertise it. They want to say, hey, look what I did. You don't see that, right? So again, it's a ludicrous idea. It's very rarely the intent to be attention seeking. And even if it is, it doesn't make what they're doing any less serious or dangerous potentially. It's still a medical emergency. It's something that needs to be taken care of. It needs to be addressed with professionals right away. So the reason it's irregardless of the reason. It's still a serious thing that should not be happening. And if you know someone who's engaging in that behavior, even if it is for this attention claim, that's something that still needs to be addressed with an adult or a medical professional right away. So ultimately, it really comes down to assuming people already know, and assuming that they are at least treated. They're not brand new, as in 2 minutes old, bleeding everywhere. As long as they're covered and treated and that sort of thing. Certainly, if they're deep enough to require stitches, that they are stitched up. I even if you don't feel this way now, at some point down the line, you probably will feel like you're tired of hiding it and that it's just an inconvenience. It's part of your story. And that's what I always think about mine, is it's part of my story. And if people saw me shirtless or sleeveless shirt or something and saw it on my arm there, I'm not proud of it. It's not for attention. I'm not proud of it. I don't run around, I don't show up my tattoo of my dad, on my leg and then say, oh yeah, look what else I got up here. Look what else I did to myself. I went and got a tattoo and I've been doing this shit for years. No, it's not for attention. But if somebody sees it, if somebody asks me about it, I think for most people, I would just be honest. I was going through a horrible time in my life. I was on medication that didn't agree with me. I was very depressed. I was manic sometimes and super depressed other times, and just in general, just panic attacks every single day for months on end. I mean, my hands would lock up into fists. I could not unclench my hands. I mean, and just, blood in my head was always pounding. It was a nightmare. I couldn't work that way or anything. I'd always have to step away from the computer and go to my car somewhere to try to let it pass. But nobody ever said it could be the medicine until we did our own research. So, it was just a horrible time. I was a mess. I certainly didn't plan on trying to kill myself. It just was an impulsive thing. I had enough of that, and it wasn't getting better. I wasn't getting answers. And in some form of desperation, I tried to do something stupid. I called my friend Zach and went to the hospital and got put inpatient for 8 days. And I'm glad I did, because that made us realize it must be the medicine. And that's, once I got out, I got off that damn Abilify, and I was fine. Within a month, it was out of my system, and I was back to normal. And I didn't think I'd ever feel normal again after, 4 months of that? I mean, it was every day, multiple times a day. It was the worst. And some of my friends saw me like that, and Zach even came to see me, inpatient, and he was like, I can't believe you. You're just a jittery, twitchy, anxious mess, and you're just... I'm like, well, that's why I'm here, right? So, I mean, it's just something to always keep in mind, but, that even when you're inpatient, when they first admit you, they actually have you stripped down to your underwear and they look you over completely to see if you have tattoos or scars, any sort of thing on your body, so they can document it, so they know if something new comes up that wasn't there before. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Wear clean underwear every day, and know that somebody will be checking for that should you end up in hospital for any reason like that. But like I always say, you're not your disorder, and you're not your self-harm, you're not your scars. It's a part of you. Yes, it's a part of your story, but we all have a story. It's all interesting. It's all real, and you have to live your life. And if that means running around with sleeveless shirts on, or going to a beach, whatever it is, and having things showing, at some point, most likely you will be comfortable doing that if you're not already. But I think definitely it's an empowering thing, and it shows that you are not beaten by that. That is not the only thing going on, right? There's more to you than just these scars or these bruises, whatever it may be. So those are kind of my thoughts on showing self-harm scars or not. And hopefully you found the video interesting and helpful. Definitely check out some other videos on the channel. Like I said, I'll put the link to the other self-harm video I did a while back in the description for this video. Like this video if it helped you out, and subscribe for more educational mental health content just like this. And I'll see you in the next video. Adios.